back to Shift Today with Allison. My name is Allison Shuhazi, and I'm thrilled to have you here today. We are on the path of realm of reality, and today is the first of the series. If you haven't heard the episode before this, where I did the overview, you might want to go back and listen to that one. But today is the first in the series, and it's underneath the title of perception and awareness. That's where we're going to begin. I'm going to start by giving you the definition again of realm of reality so you understand where I'm coming from. This is the perception, this is where perception meets truth, where stories dissolve and clarity begins. It's the space where we've awakened from illusions and remember what is deeply and undeniably real. Okay. That is what we're talking about. And we're going to be talking about for the next 24 episodes. So I'm thrilled you're here because this is such a passion project for me, not personally, but also for coaching. I'm an intuitive transformational life coach. And it is such a passion for me to work with individuals who are ready to invest in themselves. We go through so many different levels of change in our life, a lot of times seeking purpose, a lot of times not even understanding what our purpose could possibly be because we're so busy in the state of wanting our desires to be filled and wanting someone to hear us and wanting someone to see us and wanting recognition for things from other people. And when I am talking about with the realm of reality, I am talking about what is happening here right now. And how are you not experiencing life and what is happening here and right now? Because with the conversations I have on the regular, so many people are stuck in the past. And I'm not talking for years, I am talking for decades. They are stuck in so many pain points. And I know this, my hand is raised because you probably can see it if you're watching on YouTube right now on my channel, because I was stuck in the past for decades until I stopped, until I developed and got real. I understand the methodology I'm about to share with you, not just because I'm teaching it and mentoring it and coaching it, because I live it. I live it on the daily. And so I have broken it down literally into 24 sections to make it so crystal clear on how to navigate your path, understand the choices you're making so you can get to the changes that you seek and live that just yummy, desirable life that you're ready to. That is full of my new favorite phrase, joy bombs. So let's get started. The first thing in this perception and truth, the difference also between the perception and truth, right? All of us have a perception, right? Perception is going to see a difference in truth. And it's based off of so many factors that we have. But today we're going to talk about how to unpack your inner narrative and reconnect with grounded truth. Okay. If you know me, you better buckle up because I have a lot of questions here for you. First one is, what is the story you are telling yourself about this situation? When we're talking about the difference between perception and truth, what is the story that you're telling about this situation? Notice your tone, your language, your assumptions, your expectations. And if you haven't noticed, stories are illusions. You can be as creative as you want, but a lot of times, if we're not focused on the truth of what is happening in the reality, and we're stuck making a whole bunch of stories of what might never happen, good or bad, what kind of experience are you going to have going forward? And I understand a lot of us depending on what your past has been, is you might have gotten yourself into a situation where all you do is you lead with assumptions, you lead with stories, you lead with anticipatory feelings. And those are the things that I'm hoping over the next few weeks will soften for you and understanding the truth, not just the truth of a situation, but the truth of who you are and how you feel and why you feel the way you do. So another question is, what do you know to be true without adding emotion, assumption, or opinion? What do you know to be true? I know the truth in this moment that I'm recording this right now is I've had this on my schedule. I've been trying to get this done. And the one day in time I have right now, there's a thunderstorm outside. That is the reality of this situation. That is the truth of what's going on right now. So if you hear some rumbling in the background, it's not my belly. I had lunch today. It is actually the sky. That is the truth in this situation. Another question for you. Where did this perception come from? Where did you learn your perception? Past experience, a voice from a childhood, culture? Somebody told you how to perceive things? Don't perceive it that way, perceive it this way. Where did your perception come from? If you could really sit down and think back to how did your train of thought begin? When did I start making assumptions? When did I start getting all fearful about anticipating what might or might not happen? When did I begin creating illusions of things that never have happened ever? If you can answer some of these questions, you're going to gain so much clarity about yourself. Here's another question. How does holding on to a perception serve you or keep you stuck? When you have some of those perceptions, perhaps negative perceptions of anticipatory things or assumptions about someone, then you find out the truth. How does that make you feel? Confident or filled with a load of limiting beliefs? Ask yourself. Final question, and then we'll move forward. If you let go of the story, the illusions, what feels more aligned with your inner truth? The stories, the perceptions, or the truth? Like, how are you aligning with yourself? And as we go forward here, I'm going to interject a little something. There's a piece that I use regularly with my clients to understand when we're in our whole being, our whole core of ourself. We have 9 human elements that make each one of us. These aren't new, but I bundled them. Mind, body, soul, spirit, senses, instinct, power, energy, and intuition. Together, those are our 9 human elements. We're going to be touching on every single one of those. If all of those are activated in a positive manner, a forward functioning manner, your realm of reality is going to be clear. Doubt will be so small that you will not lean on it any longer. You probably sit on it. Say, I know what I need to do. I know what reality is for me. I know what is happening right now. So perception is filtered and truth is a constant. Okay. So when you're trying to understand the difference between perception and truth, perception is shaped by past experiences, beliefs, most of them taught to you at a very young age, fears, same, taught to you at a young age, and desires that you're allowed to have. Essentially, it's like a lens, right? Think about this is the truth of what I'm seeing, and then I put these on. We have different kinds of lenses that we can put on, and perception is one of them. Like our beliefs can be one lens, right? Our fears can be another lens. And then imagine if you piled all those lenses up. Oh, I should have had all my glasses here and piled them up to show you. Things can get really awkward, blurry, and a little bit insane sometimes. Now, when we're talking about truth, truth, on the other hand, exists independently of those filters. Ask what story might you be telling yourself and what's actually happening. There's so many experiences from this day when you're listening to this podcast or watching this episode on YouTube. Going forward, you are going to have thousands upon thousands of experiences. With all of them, when you are entering into it, happy, sad, salty, sweet, what story might you be telling yourself and what's actually happening? Notice when you're looking at something for what it is than when you're looking at it from your perception. And I understand that it's hard because a lot of us have been literally living within the realm of perception, not in the realm of reality. But with a little bit of work each day, you can start seeing, feeling, and knowing things differently for yourself. The next piece of this is feelings are valid, but not always factual. I'm going to read that one again. Feelings are valid, but they're not always factual. That is a truth bomb right there. Emotions often signal something important, but they don't always reflect the whole truth. So here's a coaching tip I have for you. I invite clients to pause, right? I invite you to pause and observe your emotional reaction without immediately assigning meaning. And I have this thing in my coaching process that I use. It's called the 3 Fs. I'm giving you a really big tip right now, and I'm telling you, if there's anything you take away from this episode right now, it's the 3 Fs. We typically walk into most situations in life with a freight train of feelings. I don't care if you're an introvert or extrovert. You are arriving typically with a freight train of feelings. And then what happens is you're going to have a fact, an experience in front of you, but you're already rushing in with this magnitude and powerhouse of feelings. You've already decided how you're going to feel about a situation before it is even happened, before you even allow it to surprise you to be different. And I'm not saying every situation, but what happens is it's almost like a typical most of the time. But what if you did the 3 Fs? Instead of arriving with your feelings, you arrive, you go, and you see what's factually happening. Oh, this is what's happening. Oh, this is delightful. I had no idea because I was going to arrive with my freight train of feelings. And you see that things actually aren't that bad. And then you have your feelings based off of the facts. And sometimes then it might need to be like if you're going to a work meeting, you might have to then lead into some solutions, right? But if you lead with fact, then you have the feelings about the facts. Then you can go forward from there. If you've run in again with the freight train of feelings, typically that's where you end. And then your freight train gets a whole bunch of added cars on the back because you're like, oh, here's the assumptions, here's the illusions, here's all the other cars I got to add to the back of this. And then your freight train gets big and daunting for you to carry and push and fuel. And you're wasting a lot of power and energy on things that will never and have never happened. So notice that within you. Okay. Next, I have truth doesn't need agreements to be real. Truths don't need agreements to be real. Just because others don't see what you see, or vice versa, doesn't mean one version is right or correct. Truth can exist quietly without needing validation or feedback. How many of you love feedback? How many of you love validation? Not everyone does. I understand that. But what happens is something might happen in your life and you have to shout it out to 10 people and you want 10 people to be behind you and be as angry as you are. And what is that fueling? Is that fueling positivity to go forward? Is that just fueling more anger and negative, dense energy? It's the latter. It's the dense energy. Where might you be confusing group perception with truth? How often does that happen? I understand a lot of times we want to get behind something together to make a change. And I do understand that. But if you are fueling it with this freight train of negative energy, pounding into a situation, needing everyone to see and hear you, your freight train's again going to add another car of negativity onto the back because you are desperate for validation, desperate for someone to hear you. And people, unfortunately, at some point might stop listening. So notice where you're coming from. Okay. Truth doesn't need agreement to be real. Perceptions change and truth reveals. This is huge. Perception is part of that family of expectations sometimes. You're constantly making a list of what somebody needs to live up to. And then you're reformatting the list because they've pissed you off or because you believe they can do more, whatever it is, right? So that might change a little bit. Where truth reveals, truth tells you exactly what is happening right now. Just because the truth might not be fantastic doesn't mean it's still not real. As awareness grows, perception often shifts. So what once felt true may no longer hold up. I can tell you, as I've gone through this process of realm of reality to shift myself towards clarity over the last few years, there are things that I have realized that my perception was to blame someone else. When in reality, when I stopped to really decipher and understand what my perception meant, to blame other people, I actually got a mirror put in front of me. And I was like, wow, I am blaming these people, but I'm also choosing to spend time with them. And in reality, if I stop spending time with them, my perception might change. My life might change. My outcomes might change. And that's actually what truthfully has happened in my life because I made the choice to change. Just like I can't change that car that's now finally leaving and making a loud noise outside. But it's part of reality. So see truth as something that becomes clearer with time and reflection. Not reflecting out, but reflecting back in. Invite the reflection. Oh my God, I love it. At the beginning, it irritated me. I would be up sweating. I mean, think about women. If you're a woman and you're going through the quote unquote change, all we want to do is dampen all of the craziness that's happening as our body changes, right? We're getting hot flashes, we're getting brain fog. I mean, there's a massive list. I've already been pre, post, or pre, during, and post. I'm post, way past post. And I can see it very clearly because I can reflect back. And during the process is when I really engaged my energy work that I do. I started really engaging the energy work. I started really journaling. I started really recognizing feelings. I started understanding why I was so irritated. And I never needed the medication. I never needed any support because I was already supporting myself by noticing what my body was trying to tell me that I needed to work through. Yes, my body changed. Yes, mechanically, things were happening physically. But a lot of times, physical ailments and blockages that we have are caused because we're not reflecting within. We want someone to give us something to change. And the truth might just be within us to unlock. So if you're looking and you're reflecting on yourself, what shifted in you that nows allow you to see this differently? And I just gave you a couple examples of that. I see things very differently, and I have a whole slew of friends and people that I love dearly who are going through the change, and they do not want to hear what I have to say, and I'm allowing them to suffer because they don't want to do anything different. I'm listening to people in this political climate, and it's a shit show. I can say that this is my podcast. But I'm also not fueling negative energy. I'm not giving anyone my energy, not for any more negativity. There's enough being spewed. So, in the final reflection piece of perception and truth in this realm of reality, truth grounds you while perception can drift you. When someone is stuck in perception, so think about this. If you are stuck in perception, they often feel reactive or unsettled. Truth brings clarity, peace, and rootedness, which is groundedness. Just because I might see things clear, just because I might feel grounded, just because I'm at peace, does not mean I'm not irritated by things that are happening around me. But I'm not fueling them because that doesn't feel like the right thing to do for change. And if your reactions, if you feeling unsettled, feels like the right thing to keep doing, well, then by goodness, keep going. But that's not where I will be. I'm going to be anchored. I want to be anchored in my life, in my realm of reality. I can see things for what they are. I make changes where I can. I do what is necessary. So notice as you are pausing and thinking about your realm of reality, are you focused on the constant perception of what might never become, what is negative? Are you highly sensitive? Or do you want to focus on being more grounded, being more peaceful, being more truthful, leading with facts before you lead with a freight train of feelings? And guess what? You're human, and not every day is going to be as easy as the last. But don't miss out on the confidence that you have, on the kindness that you have, on the patience that you have, on the courage that you have, because you continue to fuel the stories that you keep creating in your perception. Notice what is truthful. If even just for one day, just for today, try it and see where you land. See what comes up for you. And notice, what does my realm of reality feel like today? I'm going to leave you there. Next episode, I will be talking about how beliefs shape your experience of reality. So I look forward to seeing you there. Take care. Bye-bye. This episode of Shift Today with Allison was created, directed, produced, edited, and written, and 100% done by Allison Chuhazi. That's me. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, share this with a friend, rate and or review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and just end up having a beautiful day. See you next time.